We've been through it all, went to war when duty called. Never left a man behind, we move as one is super strong. I don't want followers, that implies I'm the leader. I'm not the captain, I just gave them something they can believe in. I hold the lamp in the darkness, but they're the light that I needed to see the road that we walk in between the angels and demons. And my fans have my back. Hate us if your feelings don't like facts. And my fans will fight back. Beat you with the keyboard you've been using to write back. I guess we need each other like both sides of the battery. We the army, we the homies, we the gang, we the cavalry. We're brothers and sisters, we hold it down like we gravity. Can't nobody break the bond that made us all family.
Me and my fans, we don't care what anybody say. Middle fingers to whoever in the way, man. Me and my fans, we gon' be together to the grave. It's a game till forever and a day, man. Me and my fans, we don't even trip if they hate. We got all in our veins, man. Me and my fans,
we the hangover gang. Gang, 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 gang.
Oklahoma weather can dish out some of the worst punishment in the world. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Tuttle. But now you can fight back by installing Class 4 impact-resistant shingles from Ferguson Roof Systems. These shingles can withstand large hail, heavy rain, and hurricane-force winds, all while keeping your home safe and dry. And the best part? This upgrade is completely free for many homeowners. So call today to start reaping the benefits these Class 4 shingles bring, including a discount on home insurance. Only at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey there, meteorologist Tuttle back with you again. It is, what time is it? Almost about a quarter to noon. We're going to do a Facebook Live update for you, a YouTube Live update, a Twitter Live update, and a Rumble Live update to get you updated on how the weather's going to be turning ugly for us as we head into tomorrow evening and over tomorrow night into your Tuesday. But right now, your money's looking great, man. I mean, it's really nice weather out there, and it's about time, right? I know, I'm so excited. We're finally getting out of this winter mode and back into springtime, although it does come with some storms. So thanks for joining me. Be sure and like and share this video as we speak. That way your friends and family can see a link to AT's weather, so they can get some accurate weather information without all the hype and drama and nonsense that usually comes with it this time of the year, because if it bleeds, it leads, is the old news saying. All right, we'll tell you what, outside currently, we do have a lot of sunshine, so not a single cloud in my camera view. South wind here and a temperature right around 67 degrees. By the way, if you'd like to get a Tempest weather station like what I have, you can get the little discount if you hit my QR code here in the upper right corner during any one of my live broadcasts. All right, so let's get on with the program, shall we? We're going to talk about the situation at hand. Let me load up my little deal here. Get off of there. Press the wrong button, of course. Sometimes that happens. All right, minimize that. Okay, so let's get on with the big show. First things first, we do have our upper level storm system. This is the guy right here. So this is our big upper disturbance. This is the upper level low. And you can see how it's pumping in moisture out ahead of it from the Pacific. And so this moisture will work its way into Oklahoma in the mid and upper levels as we head into overnight tonight into tomorrow. Whereas at the same time, we're going to start to open up the Gulf of Mexico and try to get some of the lower level moisture in here, racing at the last minute. Now what that will typically do is come in a little late. Same with this system, is coming in a little late. So that's going to help reduce the magnitude of our severe weather event, which is some good news, right? I know, I'm excited about that. All right, let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center, which has the slight risk of severe weather across all of pretty much Oklahoma, the large area of Texas, and even Kansas. Now, if you break this down into the tornado threat, you do see a little brown ring here shaded across the I-35 corridor and I-44 down to Lawton, back into Wichita Falls, in the western parts of Texas, into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, then back up just about to around the Tulsa area. So that is our focus for the tornado risk. Wind is basically kind of a larger area of that, and the hail is more of a western fringe of the risk area. If you were to zoom into that, here's how it breaks down here across Oklahoma itself. And yellow is the slight risk, green is just the marginal, because this is basically the region where these storms should develop along the dry line. We'll show you that here in just a second. Meanwhile, eastern Oklahoma also under the risk for some severe weather overnight Tuesday night. A little bit of hail, a little bit of wind, and yes, probably a couple of QLCS type tornadoes. Timing on this event is going to be late evening, so probably after about 8 or 9 o'clock. Out here in this region, shaded for you. Now, once it gets closer to the I-35 corridor, so right about in this area, which does include Oklahoma City, we should be pretty much right about midnight, and then after midnight, it should start to press through the region and then moving on into eastern Oklahoma. So it's only going to be a kind of a short-lived event. I'm talking about tornado potential here in green across Oklahoma City to Stillwater, just up to about Tulsa, and then back down to Durant. So this map does kind of extend in this area right here. I just didn't, Weather Services doesn't carry it all over to the east. Meanwhile, you can see western Oklahoma is in the clear. Now we talk about the best ingredients for tornadoes. They're called the tornado parameter. It does start to pick up a little bit as we head into the, let's see, this is the 10 o'clock hour. As we head into the 1 a.m. hour, so just after midnight, you can see how that shifts to the east here along the I-35 corridor up toward the Tulsa area. And the scale on this is pretty low. All right, so up here into Kansas, a little bit higher. Here's the values around 2 to 3. Here over Oklahoma is only about 1 to maybe 2. That's a good sign. That means that the threat for tornadoes is going to be low with this event, and usually on the weaker side with those QLCS types. So here's about 4 o'clock in the morning, now shifting to southeast Oklahoma. There's North Texas and in eastern Texas as well, and it kind of dies out toward the daybreak hours. Okay, we talk about the helicity track, so there was potential for some storms to rotate. Now the rotating storms will produce a little bit of hail, a little bit of wind, and when that does happen, you're going to get potential for tornado in that case. So the models do kind of favor this little area here in central Oklahoma that does include Oklahoma City metro area, points to south and west. And it kind of like favors a secondary area here in southeastern parts of Texas and kind of scattered through North Texas and kind of central Texas as well, from about Bryan College Station up to about Tyler there. That's kind of the favorite areas that the model is looking at right now. Now, we'll see some pockets of damaging wind. It won't be a widespread event against kind of in overnight hours. But where you see little red areas, those are winds anywhere from around 50 to maybe 60 miles per hour. So right now, it doesn't look like a large magnitude, kind of more of on the borderline event when it comes to severe weather. Now, we talk about the lift in the atmosphere. In other words, what's going to trigger the storms. Well, we do have this area of lift, 700 millibars. This is occurring along the dry line out here in western Oklahoma down into the western Texas as energy starts to kick in from the west in the upper levels of the atmosphere around 7 o'clock. Now, as we head into the 10 o'clock hour, you see that lift continues out here in western Oklahoma into Texas, and that should be between those hours is where we'll get the clouds to develop, get the storms to get going. And then as we head to the midnight hour, that lift shoots over central Oklahoma. And as we head into the 4 o'clock hour in the morning, much greater lift will start to occur here across southeastern Oklahoma on into North Texas, which means that the magnitude of storms probably be a little stronger. So you can see a really strong lift here in eastern Oklahoma by daybreak tomorrow. Then that moves into Arkansas by early morning hours. And again, the lift is the trigger to get those storms to keep going. So it does look like those storms will continue overnight. All right, now we look at we need moisture, okay? So low levels of the atmosphere, we got to get those really good dew point values. Now here in the blue, dew point values are in the lower 60s. That's pretty good. You need some lower 60s to get really a favorable outlook for tornadoes. Once you get to the 50s, it's really hard to do, especially the lower 50s, which will be out here in western Oklahoma. So the dry line setup, not very well defined, and that's an issue. So there's not a lot of convergence along this boundary. What you really need is a good west to southwest wind and a good east to southeast wind. And we don't have that. You see these vector arrows are going more parallel with the front. So that limits the initiation in the coverage early on. And there's going to be a cap in play. So with the cap, it kind of prevents the storms from forming. And so when that happens, it's going to be really hard to get those storms to develop for the first couple of hours in the evening. But then as more moisture slowly works in, energy comes in, the capillary road is showing up here on the sounding here, and we should start to see a profile that should favor for development. Now, once this starts to happen, the cloud bases, in other words, the lifting condensation level is way up there, really super tall. So in this case, you usually get hail, which is why the Storm Prediction Center had that hail risk out to the west. But given some time, a couple of hours, as it moves east into deeper moisture, you will get to more of a favorable tornado risk with these events. And you can see the shear actually is very conducive for rotating storms. All right, so as we go into, let's see, here's 6 o'clock. Let's go to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and midnight. So midnight, you can see the dew point values that come up here into the low to mid 60s here over central Oklahoma, and even out a little west of Oklahoma City metro area. They're a little bit higher here, so that'll help these storms that when they do develop, they will feed into that better moisture later in their life cycle. Even here over central Oklahoma, we still have a little bit of a weak cap in play as those storms approach, but otherwise a marginal tornado risk with this event here across Oklahoma City. All right, so anyway, so that'll all move through overnight, and it'll dry things out for tomorrow as a cold front comes in, tomorrow, on Wednesday, and that'll really dry things out with dew point values back in the 30s. So we're going to go from a quick kind of a humid feel to back to a nice dry weather. All right, on Tuesday, 8 o'clock in the evening, the best shear is out here across the western parts of Oklahoma, kind of in this quadrant here, where you get the little triangles here that develop right about to the I-35 corridor. And that's overlaid with the Cape values. As we go into the midnight hour, Cape values increase a little bit, but the shear actually decreases. In other words, the profile here is kind of from a due south direction and then kind of a south-southwest direction. So not as much turning with height. In other words, we want these arrows to be more spread apart like this if you really want tornadoes. So most of you don't, therefore this is a good sign. That's the good news. So that'll be the trend here for the rest of this evening. That's why we're looking more of a QLCS type risk of a tornado as the leading edge of a squall line should be developing. So here's a look at how the radar should animate here through time. Take a look at this one particular model as we head into the 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock hour. You can see how storms are struggling to get going out here in western Oklahoma. There's 11, there's midnight, there's that little squall line starting to take shape and develop here across I-35, points down south-southwest toward Lawton and Wichita Falls. As we head to the next hour here through 1 o'clock in the morning, you see how it's starting to press east of I-35. It does have a little bit of that bow echo look to it, kind of like this, and sometimes you get those damaging wind pockets within the bow. You also see little trails of helicity here, which does indicate potential for tornado and or hail and wind. That'll move off to the east about 2 o'clock in the morning. There's 3 o'clock in the morning through Tulsa, McAllister, back south in southeastern Oklahoma. And as we head into 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, starting to move into the Arkansas region and back out south and east from there. And of course, that line will weaken during that time because it's just in the wrong time of the day to go through. There's just not as much moisture and stability, and things are typically more calm and stable in the morning hours. Another high-resolution model that we use for this kind of stuff kind of better depicts the squall line development here than the other one did. So the truth will lie somewhere in the middle, but here's 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, same idea. Here's 11 o'clock. And the reason why I like this look here is I see a little comma head circulation here. It's kind of what we call a wake vortex. And so what happens is with this particular case, you get some spinning motion with this little enhanced shear development. And again, that's through the Oklahoma City metro area and points to the north. So sometimes you get a little enhancement for those QLCS type tornadoes. So again, this is a leading indicator here in the model data, which indicates that we will probably have to deal with a couple of tornadoes, warnings anyway, around our neck of the woods. All right, so that moves on through. There's midnight, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And it's continuing to move out of the state by the early morning hours. Temperatures, or excuse me, not temperatures yet, rainfall. So if we look at just the high resolution short-term model, indicates we can get some really good downpours with some of these stronger storms. And that can end up around 1 to maybe 2 inches of rainfall. I don't think we're going to be dealing with the flash flooding situation because it's not quite enough to cause that. But it will be some heavy rain briefly, which is good news because we still need all the rain we can get. Now, these will be just in, this model tries to estimate where these heavier pockets will be with more of those heavier cores in the system. But if you were to kind of do a more of a blend of just overall rain area, the highest amount shown here on the model blend is pretty much east of I-35 out here in eastern Oklahoma, widespread, 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Of course, the farther west you travel, less and less rainfall. All right, here's a look at temperatures now. We've gotten the low 80s out there this afternoon. Otherwise, we're back into the upper 70s, near 80 for Tuesday. It shaves a couple of degrees because of the increase in moisture and some cloudiness. Otherwise, on Wednesday, quite a bit cooler. Remember that cold front does come in for Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So that will help to drop these temperatures down just a little bit for Wednesday. But they're not bad. I mean, we're going to be in the 60s here for a while. Overnight lows, obviously, a little cold for Thursday morning. Sensitive vegetation is not going to like these temperatures here through the weekend. But this right here is a good trend. Let's see if we can't keep this going with overnight lows back up to around 50. And then daytime highs up around 70. San Diego weather. Here we come, right? So that's the good news I have for you in the long term. Okay. That was your full update. So hopefully that was helpful. If you live down into the Kansas area, you're going to see the same kind of idea as I showed you in Oklahoma, no different for you guys. Little pockets of wind and hail, probably a QLCS type tornado or two in your area. Same thing for North Texas, down to Central Texas. If you live in Dallas, again, same kind of idea. This is an overnight event, which means you have a lot less instability to work with. We don't have as good deep moisture as we would normally see on a strong event, and the timing of the event is a little off. In other words, the main upper system doesn't come in until after dark. When they come in during the mid to late afternoon, that's when you really get the best ingredients to work with, you get the best daytime heating, etc., etc. So anytime you have these type of events, which it seems like for the last 2 years, that's what we've mostly had, it's all been off-timed. We end up with these squall line events usually at night with embedded QLCS type tornadoes. So that's kind of where we've been the last couple years here in Oklahoma. And that's probably where we're going to start with this storm system anyway. And we have another little rain event on Friday. You can read my blog for more information about that. I'll do a repost here for that. You can check out. Meanwhile, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday. Have a great lunch. I'll do another live tonight at 9:30, so make sure you join me then. And we'll see you then. Take care, everybody.